corner of
commend the top 15 players.
The camera, knife, etc.
Commend
deal
top
with,
15.
you know, the chamber of vice as much. So
this?
It'll be interesting to see if BBO...
After 5 years of pro Valorant, it's time to decide the 10 greatest Valorant players of all time. Well, actually 15, but I'm sure you won't mind. Also, I didn't consider IGLing very much when constructing this list. We don't actually know their impact without being on the team, and so it's hard to compare. But with all that out of the way, let's get started with number 15, the crazy Raze we all know and love, Jing. After PaperX's Masters win in Toronto, their players can finally start being considered for lists like this, and Jing definitely deserves a spot in the top 15. He's been a core member of PaperX throughout their 5-year tenure in the VCT, from dominating Masters Copenhagen all the way back in 2022 to dumpstering Sentinels in Toronto in 2025. Jing's mechanics, both movement and aim-wise, have to be admired, and there really is no one who embodies the crazy Raze.
Is there a better Raze in the world? Jogamo is like the only player I can think of. That was when EG was like insane. Oh, Zekken's pretty good. True. Zekken and Jogamo. Do either of them have better raises though, for sure, than Jing? Mata? Texture? I don't know. I feel like Jing just mastered this character,
like
man.
When I think of Raze, I think
character
of Jing.
specifically.
And I think that goes for almost all of the VCT community. But in my opinion, the things that bring him down slightly on this list are to do with exactly my previous point. He
Did
just hasn't shown that
Asuna?
flexibility
No,
at
we
the
didn't
top
forget
level.
him.
There was even a time when him basically only being able to play Raze hurt PaperX in terms of their team comps. And while he has showed us he can play other agents too, I want to see more of him on those picks. And it's not just his agents. We've only ever really seen an aggressive playstyle from him. And although
that's the thing, I don't think they're as the better player at satcheling. And basically all Raze util, besides maybe Zekken. Zekken might be the only one on par with JJ's like overall Raze IMO. But
has begun scaling it back. His lack of versatility as a player holds him back from these higher spots, in my opinion. But at number 14, I've got another crazy duelist from the Pacific region, Texture. Despite all of his hilarious antics on stage, Texture is a demon in the server. Give him a Phantom, Operator, or even a Ghost, and he'll just keep racking up those kills. His duelist play led Gen.G to consecutive grand finals.
Texture's just God. Neon? Is it Neon, Jet, or Raze? Like, if it was up to me, I'm putting Texture on Jet, no? More often than not. It's just his Jet. It's literally just his Jet. I think his Neon is extremely stoppable. And he's not that, like, unpredictable on Neon. You know what I'm saying? Hi Flex, thank you for the prime.
And Pacific's first trophy win in Masters Shanghai, where he topped the ACS charts in 5 out of 6 of Gen.G's matches, including the grand final. And since Gen.G's ascension onto the global stage in 2024, he's kept up these kind of performances. In Masters Toronto, he had the highest VLR rating, ACS, KD, kills per round, first kills per round, and clutch rate out of everyone at the event. But it's not just the stats that show how good Texture is. From the eye test, it's clear his mechanics are some of the best in the world, and he can do it on pretty much every duelist in the game, with his recent performances on Neon being particularly incredible. He's down here at 14 on this list mainly because Gen.G have only won 1 trophy, and we've only seen Texture play this well on 1 team. But if either of those things change, he could very quickly rise up on this list and become the greatest player the Pacific region has ever produced. My 13th place pick might surprise a few people, but I've got my reasons for putting Boaster here on this list. I mentioned in the intro that I didn't rate IGLing super highly when making this list, because we can't truly know how much impact they have on a team, and that's still true with this pick, because even though Boaster's IGLing is clearly incredible, even without weighing that very highly, I think his achievements, consistency,
I'm definitely number 12 of that, right?
And cultural impact mean that he deserves a spot in the top 15. Although he's never been the star of the show from an in-game standpoint, Boaster has not only won 2 international trophies, but also made it to 2 more grand finals with different rosters, and his consistency with bringing Fnatic to international events
I mean, that part is true. Different rosters, even if they're really, really good players on those rosters, and well-established players before they join, minus probably Kayak, It's still impressive how many finals they've made.
It's been stellar. He pioneered new strategies early on in the game's lifespan, and is still creating game-defining metas to this day. And all of this isn't even considering the cultural impact he's had on the game. With every walkout dance, chair-breaking celebration, and charismatic interview, he brings new fans into the game and gradually continues to become one of the most iconic faces.
Super teams don't work because they don't have IGLs like Boaster. I probably agree with that, yeah.
Valorant scene. He's not higher on this list though, because for me, a huge part of a player being great is their in-game skill, and Boaster simply will never properly dominate a match. But I think it still says a lot about Boaster that even without considering his IGLing, he's in the top 15 players.
I think he deserves it. I think he has to be on a top 10, 15 list, because the charisma is also there. Like, the leadership is very obvious from even like an outside perspective that I think players want to play with
all time. His impact on Valorant as a whole is more than enough.
He is like a genuine definition, similar to Crashies, of like intangibles that they bring to the game.
Warrant it. But at number 12 is a player who had undoubtedly the greatest single season of pro play ever. Yay.
He made
Ye's
it.
VCT season in 2022 is still the most dominant year we've ever seen from a single. Masters Reykjavik, he led Optic to a title win with a 1.32 KD. In Copenhagen, he was the 4th highest rated player at the event, and at Champions Istanbul, Optic barely missed out on another trophy as Ye ended with a ridiculous KD of 1.5 across the event.
What a legendary year, bro. It even got to the point in 2022
where people just debated over the second best player of the year, since it was obvious that Ye was number 1. His level of dominance over the server mechanically was incredible, and the unique thing about it was his insane consistency. From joining Envy in 2021 to the end of his time with Optic, he played 52 matches, and only went negative 3 times. That's 95% of games where he's going positive. But he is only 12th on this list, and there's 2 reasons for that: his consistency and his versatility. 2022 was an insane year for Ye, and let's not forget about his Jet in 2021, which was also great. But since then, we haven't seen anything near his level on Optic. Don't get me wrong, he's had some unfortunate team issues, but without seeing him at the international level for 3 years now, it's hard to argue that he deserves a spot in the top 10 of a list like this. And of course, all those ridiculous stats relied heavily on the chamber meta. Ye is definitely the greatest chamber of all time, but his ventures onto other agents and roles haven't been quite so successful. Without seeing him play other agents at the highest level, I can't justify moving him up this list. Ye is 100% a legend of the game, but until he can show us he's still got it on the international stage,
these
he's
jerseys
not breaking
were
into my
fucking
top
fire,
10.
man.
But the final player just missing out on my top 10 at number 11 is Sassy. Another core member of the Optic and Loud rivalry, Sassy has made his mark on multiple years of the VCT. He's the only player to have won a Masters and Champions trophy, with the latter coming in 2022 with Loud and the former in 2024 with Sentinels. He's reached the highest level on 2 different teams, speaking 2 different languages, and has maintained top-level performances throughout. Sassy is a consistent player in the server, with some legacy pop-off matches, but the value he brings to a team truly rests in his leadership and mentoring of younger players. We saw it with Aspas and Les on Loud, as he took them from ranked demons to trailblazers for the region. His experience built from countless years as an esports pro is invaluable for a team playing at the highest levels, and he's done more than enough to prove how great of a player he truly is. In that case, you might be wondering why Sassy hasn't broken my top 10, and for me, it's his lack of a mechanical X-factor. Despite him being an integral part of Loud and Sentinels outside of the game, he's never been the star player for a team, unlike every player in this top 10, and I rated that factor quite highly coming in. There's no doubt that Sassy is a great player, but he hasn't shown a dominance skill-wise over the game to
I'm not gonna lie, to me, Crashies and Sassy are the same player.
Take anyone else.
Literally, like, glues to their team, but no one on the outside knows. They're actually glues. They're literally the exact same. Like, actually.
Above him on this list, in my opinion. His retirement did make me really sad, though. Okay, here we go into the top 10, and coming in at that number 10 spot is China's aura farming superstar, Kong Kong. Some might say this is EDG Glaze, and I'm not going to completely disagree with you, but
Kang Kang over Sassy. I don't think so. This is where we're going to have to disagree.
I do think that Kong Kong has an extremely strong case for being one of the greatest Valorant players of all time. First off, he's a world champion.
If he's going to put... Okay, let's hear the argument.
and with 111 kills in the grand final, breaking the all-time LAN kill record, it's hard to deny he had a major impact on China's first ever international win. But Kang didn't just win Chinese Valorant a major trophy, he practically gave birth to the entire region. When EDG were China's only hope to make an international event in 2022, he was the one dropping 43 kills in maps to bring them over the line. Anyone who watched Masters Tokyo will remember his insane opping skills that gave the region their first win on the international stage, and he ended that tournament with the highest ACS out of everyone. I think it's easy to look at Kang's results and think that besides their champions win and third place finish in Masters Bangkok, EDG only ever made it to 5th, 6th place. But you have to remember where they're coming from. Kang was going toe-to-toe with international champions while the game hadn't even been released in his home country. China still hasn't truly caught up with the rest of the world, but Kang managed to turn EDG into a champions winning team multiple years ahead of schedule. All of this is not to mention the obvious. He's mechanically insane, particularly with the operator, and these mechanics have created moments that have defined Valorant's history. And of course, his cultural impact on the Chinese fanbase has been immense. Chinese Valorant would be nowhere near as big as it is now without the influence of Kang, and for these reasons, I think he definitely deserves a top 10 place on this list.
Okay. I agree with him saying that the game wasn't released yet. So he essentially caught up that quickly and was able to get a tournament win, a champs win at that. For EDG and for China, right? I agree with that. That is undisputable insane. No one has done that. That is just straight up insane, okay? But Saucy not only won with 2 different teams, he also put Brazilian Valorant on the map. He created Loud. So they did the same thing. The only difference is Saucy did it twice. Mechanical skills, though? 2 trophies versus 1 trophy, no? That's what we're talking about here. He did it on 2 different teams, 2 different trophies, 2 different languages. He created Loud, essentially, or co-created Loud with Sadak, picked up all the players with Sadak, and won champs as well, which is exactly what EDG and what's his name? Fucking Kang did. Except he did it twice. So I still think Saucy goes above Kang. I think the only thing Kang has on Saucy overall is the fact that the game wasn't released. As like it was released later in China. That is the only thing he has on Saucy, period. That you can actually say like is an actual argument. Saucy was not the carry though. Yes, but he was consistently a above average performer. And again, like if I were to ask anybody right now, who would you rather have on your top 5, like who would you rather have on your 5-man team? Most people wouldn't say Kang as duelist, but a lot of people would say Saucy in the middle. IMO. There are better duelists than Kang. There are not that many players that are better at Saucy's role than Saucy. Yes or no? I'm not even hating. I think Kang is fucking incredible. I just straight up think he's incredible. But there are better duelists. There are better duelists over the course of the time that we've watched Valorant. And there are definitely better duelists right now at this given moment, like today. So my argument here is that Saucy is ahead of Kang.
Moving on to number
reasons.
9, with PaperX's second representative, Forsaken. Forsaken is Valorant's most recent
Saucy is... Saucy has better tournament placings. I mean, yeah, we already said that. Overall, yes, Saucy has had more success in Valorant overall.
international MVP winner, and I Forsaken this list. Moving on to number 9, with PaperX's second representative, Forsaken. Forsaken is Valorant's most recent international MVP winner, and I think it was a deserved recognition of his legacy on PaperX. Forsaken has been playing at the top level of Valorant since 2021, and in that time he's led PaperX to 3 international Grand.
If David isn't number 1, then I don't even know what the fuck this list is anymore. This guy's a fraud.
Culminating with a win in Toronto. But what's so impressive about Forsaken is his development as a player. He's transformed from a slightly too aggressive duelist to a Swiss Army knife of the game, flexing to pretty much every agent, learning to IGL and still fragging out as well. He is almost certainly the most complete player we've ever seen, playing 24 out of the 26 available agents in pro matches, all of them to a high level, and this has allowed PaperX to evolve over time. But Forsaken's strength is that he doesn't sacrifice mechanical skill either. There are so many examples of Forsaken taking over games with his expert positioning and aim. Over the years, he's embodied PaperX's
Toronto as
playstyle,
IGL, correct?
and along with Jing, has led PaperX to be the most loved Valorant team of all time. Masters Toronto sealed the deal for me on him being in the top 10 conversation. PaperX had finally secured a trophy, and without Forsaken's countless amount of high-impact moments, they simply would not have won this tournament, which is why I
do not hate Kang. I think he's a phenomenal player. Let me make that fucking clear. But my dog was fragging as a duelist, has played every fucking agent at a high level, which is already mentioned, and fuck, Kang does have champs. And I don't know, some people might think Masters is worse than champs.
Personally believe he deserved the MVP award. Now, if PaperX had won another final or two, there's no doubt that Forsaken would move at least a few spots up on this list. But with quite a few players winning multiple international trophies now, it's hard to argue for him over the top 8. But next up is...
you know what? The fact that Kang carried his team to a finals win versus a really good team... excuse me. Alright, I'll give it to him. But he's still not better than Saucy.
Another Pacific player, and the only Pacific player with multiple international trophies, Meteor. Meteor secured his second international trophy with T1 in Bangkok earlier this year, and once again was the MVP of an international tournament. He didn't officially win it in Masters Shanghai, but with the chart-topping KD of 1.22, I think it's fair enough to give him that title. Since the inception of Gen.G's new roster in 2024, Meteor has been driving Pacific to consistently challenge for international trophies. It doesn't matter if he's on the Sentinel or Duelist role. His crispy aim and
I think the biggest what-if in Valorant is if Meteor stayed on Gen.G. If there was a way where Texture and Meteor could play again together. To me, from the outside looking in, like, if that team ever came back together with Meteor on it, on paper, they're just the best. On paper. But I don't know if that'll ever happen. That is a broken fucking team. Like, if you have Texture and Meteor on the same team, that is fucked.
Immaculate game sense will always prevail in big matches, and with his leadership skills developing in 2025, he enables his teammates to do the same. Meteor is truly a game-changing player, both inside and outside of the server. The only thing holding me back from moving him up the list is his lack of longevity in the VCT. He has had 2 incredible years in 2024 and 2025 so far, but barring an extremely brief appearance in Masters Copenhagen in 2022, he hasn't necessarily shown us he can keep these performances consistent over 3 or 4 years, unlike the players above him on this list. If Meteor goes on to win more trophies and adds to his MVP collection, I think he'll undoubtedly become the Pacific region's GOAT. But the 7th player on this list is one of my all-time personal favorites, Nats. Nats on Gambit at Masters Berlin practically invented an entirely new playstyle, or at least introduced it to the masses, and that was lurking.
Real argument there.
It's hard to think about a time before lurking was a fundamental part of pro-Valorant strategy, but Nats wrote the playbook in his first appearance on the international stage. Multiple jaw-dropping lurks led Nats to rise to global stardom during this tournament, as he 13-0 G.
I'm ahead of Nats. Like, I know I'm on this list, I just don't know where. That's what I'm waiting for.
In one of the most dominant maps by a single player we've ever seen in professional play. He continued to maintain his reputation as the rattiest player in Valorant, in a good way, almost securing a Champions Trophy in the following tournament. And it wasn't just the global macro meta that Nats impacted with his time on Gambit. Viper and Cypher setups he introduced all the way back then are still being used to this day. Just watch any pro game of Bind with a Viper, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Nats would have a shout to make this kind of list even just based on his pre-franchising performances, But since joining Team Liquid in 2023, Nats has developed even further into a calculated and eloquent IGL, leading his teams to multiple global events. And even without considering his IGLing too much, his unique playstyle continues to shine through.
I have no argument
by
against
his
Nats.
incredibly strong mechanical
There's no
skill.
argument against
He's
Nats.
still dominating
He's the
maps
GOAT.
on Viper almost 5 years later. I hope Sentinels fans still remember that 13-1 on Bind at Masters Bangkok. Obviously though, Nats only has one international
David,
trophy, and it was
I
back
would
in the
say
early
Nats
days of
is
Valorant. For me, that's the major
up
thing
there as
stopping
my
him from
personal
moving
favorite as
higher
well.
on this list. But I do think it's worth considering the strength of teams Nats has played with. If he'd been put on Prime Fnatic in 2023, are you really going to tell me he wouldn't have at least one more trophy under his belt by now? And coming in at that number 6 spot is the player I hope to see return as soon as possible, Leo. Leo is one of the most difficult players to place on this list because of his pretty unique situation, and if you need any context, check out my video from a few months back. When making this video, I moved Leo up and down so many times, but eventually
It's crazy that the longer he stays out of the game, the more aura he gains. That's what's annoying.
Fake no going in, but all the
6th place. The reasons he could be higher are fairly simple. At his peak, he was almost the perfect Valorant player. He had a game sense that seemed to be levels above even his world-class teammates on Fnatic, with flawless utility usage that enabled his team to secure essential round wins. He could also take over entire games if he needed to, even on his signature role of Recon Initiator. He was the MVP of Fnatic's win at Lock-In, joint MVP with his teammate for Masters Tokyo, and the second highest rated player at Champs 23, behind only Demon 1. 2023 was Leo's year, but actually the stats tell you that he was this good in 2021, 2022, and good in 2021. But actually,
Chai, he breach ulted me and I fucking dinked him. 32 HP. Why is none of my teammates hitting him? You know I win this round, right? I was feeling it too. On God, I was feeling it.
The stats tell you that he was this good in 2021, 2022, and 2024 as well, at least the half of the year that he played in. This is the inevitable counterpoint to Leo being higher on this list.
Yeah.
He's only had
Chad, I'm pretty sure when I died there, I literally said, nobody hit him?
one full season at the very top level of the game. It was an incredible season for sure, but thinking in terms of longevity, he doesn't compare to some of the players higher than him on this list. Without that continued presence at international events, Leo hasn't had the chance to define his legacy properly, and unfortunately, in greatest player ever discussions, that does hurt his case. But wherever you have Leo on your list, I think we can all agree that we'd love to see him back at the highest level once again. Now for the top 5, and starting us off is the Turkish sniper, Alphayer.
You put Alpha ahead, huh?
Before Masters Toronto, I was of the
Respect.
opinion that Alphayer was a great player with world-class aim, but I didn't think he was a top 5 players ever material. Of course, he had 2 trophies, just the same as Leo, and a tournament MVP at Masters Tokyo, but I just hadn't seen the global consistency from him to justify putting him above legends of the game. And then Masters Toronto happened, and in my mind, he became a legend of the game. Alphayer was only 16 years old when he joined Fnatic back in 2022, but he instantly had an impact on the team, bringing them to a 4th place finish at Masters Copenhagen. Ever since that tournament, Alphayer has showcased his complete mechanical dominance over the game at international event after international event. He doesn't have the greatest utility usage in the world, but on a pure fragging basis, there's almost nobody who can match him. At Masters Tokyo, a 1.63 KD, highest at the event. At Champs 2023, the same.
Bro, at Tokyo, this guy absolutely murdered us. Like, he literally single-handedly killed my team.
Tied for highest KD at the event with Demon 1 at 1.39, and most recently at Toronto, the highest KD in the playoffs with 1.3, and that's not even mentioning him going plus 20 in a grand final in a 3-1 loss. This tournament made me realize just how immense Alphayer's impact on any given match actually is, and with the achievements and longevity now to back up that mechanical prowess, he deserves a high placement on a list like this. And to add more to his case, he can play multiple roles at the top level, including Sentinel.
That's true. The fucking... Oh my god. The tragedies that have struck my team. Billy, Loud Lock-In, fucking cigars, Paper X. Holy fucking tragic. Loud final loss, Champs. Yikes, man. $12.5. Holy fuck, man. That is actually tragic.
Duelist, and even a bit of initiator. It doesn't even seem to matter what agent he's on, as long as he's got a gun in his hand. And all of this isn't even mentioning his cultural impact, paving the way as Turkey's greatest player, and immortalizing himself in Valorant history with possibly the most important clutch of all time. I genuinely think I was underrating Alpha for so long in the GOAT
You are the
conversation
Team
just because
Rocket
of how young
of
he is.
Valorant.
We've got to start
Low-key,
acknowledging
yeah.
how great Alpha already is, even if he does have so much further to go. And now for the fourth greatest player of all time, the face of Valorant, tenz. tenz is undeniably the most impactful player on the
Tyson,
game of Valorant.
what,
He was
fourth?
the first player in North America to reach
Fourth place? Yeah.
Radiant, an integral part of the first international tournament winning team, and he's always the first player to add when you're making a Valorant YouTube thumbnail. Throughout 2020 and 2021, tenz established a legacy that has stood for years, which will continue to be synonymous with the early era of Valorant. And
I know Chronicles here, I know
he was
Aspas is
levels
here.
above everyone else, in a way we haven't seen since. Records he set there still hold to this day, with over a kill per round at that tournament.
okay.
But I know what you're thinking. It was a farmers tournament, nobody knew how to play the game back then, etc, etc. It's true that considering tenz's early VCT career wouldn't grant him a spot on this list. His cultural impact was no doubt.
So if tenz hadn't had the last, the 2024 year where they won, if tenz didn't win another title, he wouldn't be on the top 10? You guys think? Like him and Texture would have swapped spots?
Incredible, but he didn't fulfill all of the requirements to be a GOAT candidate. At least, not until 2024. tenz had a rough few years as Sentinels refused to sign a coach in 2022 and then built a failed super team in 2023, but with a role change to controller and a team that finally made sense, tenz was reborn. Omen suited him extremely well because of the agent's unique mobility, and his adaptation to a more supportive role showed the versatility we didn't know he had. tenz was a major component in Sentinel's Masters Madrid win, and for me, being able to live up to almost unreachable expectations once again showed tenz's consistency at the top level. Obviously, with his retirement coming at the end of 2024, we can't imagine he'll move any higher than this on the list. But adding together his 2 international trophies on 2 different roles, his incredible mechanics, and the immense impact he's had on the game of Valorant, tenz deserves to be heralded as one of the greatest players of all time.
Heralded.
But coming in as the third greatest player of all time is someone who was sat opposite tenz in that first ever grand final, Durka. Compared with some of the other players on this list, Durka might not be the flashiest player in the world, but he hasn't made it to the top 3 on this list.
Number
with
1 in my mod
moments.
list.
Obviously, he has 2 major trophy wins with Fnatic, cementing his role in the best team in Valorant history. But his time with Fnatic also encapsulates another grand final appearance, all the way back in 2021. I think this alone demonstrates a core principle of Durka's greatness. He is Mr. Consistency. Since the very inception of the VCT, Durka has been consistently incredible at every international event he's attended, which includes every single champs, by the way. Most players have had a year or 2 where they haven't been putting up incredible numbers at the international level, but Durka just simply hasn't had one of those years. From the start of the esport in 2021 all the way through to 2025, he's proven his greatness on the biggest stages in VCT. His duelist play is exceptionally well-rounded too, with his rifling, opping, and entrying all surpassing many of the other best duelists in the world. Hopefully Durka can keep up the champion streak, but even if he doesn't manage to go this year, he'll still be known as probably the most consistent Valorant player of all time. To no one's surprise, Aspas is my second greatest Valorant player of all time. Aspas is a unique entry on this list because I don't need to start listing his achievements or his stats to try and prove his worth as a player. All it takes is watching a few games, and it's easy to tell.
Damn, they saved me for last, huh?
I'm talking mechanics, movement, and utility. Aspas is
honestly, I don't even want to see number 1 because I don't like watching glaze about myself, so I'm not even going to look at that one.
One of, if not the best, to ever touch the game of Valorant. Of course, I could talk about how he made it to the grand final of his first ever international tournament straight out of Brazilian ranked, or the Champions Trophy that he won in his rookie year, or his multiple other international podium finishes with Loud, or even the multiple teams he's brought to international events who seemingly had no hope before he joined, but I don't even need to. From the minute Aspas joined the VCT circuit, his in-game talent spoke for itself.
Wait, chaps, oh my god, chat, if we won champs, then would I be on the top 10? Top 15? Would Ye be, then Ye would be in the top 5. Ye would just be in the top 5 then. God damn. Imagine one placing away.
And it's
Fucking
continued to
cringe.
shine since his debut in 2022. Consistency-wise, he's maintained an elite level on multiple teams, from Loud to Leviathan to MIBR, and despite not reaching the same heights as he did on Loud in the past few years, to take a team of rookies to consistent podium finishes within the region, like he has done with MIBR this year, has been incredible. It doesn't really matter who else is on your roster.
Even if you won
have
Berlin?
Aspas, it almost instantly becomes a super team.
If
All
we
of
beat Gambit at Berlin, and then I had 2 Masters, but one of them was the Gambit Berlin one, I don't think so. I don't
This
think
is
we'd
not
be
to
top.
mention
I don't
Aspas's
think they would
cultural
consider
impact
it
on
anything.
Brazilian Valorant. Together with Sassy, he's led the region to become a birthplace of prodigies, where superstars that will follow in his footsteps can be born. The argument I made for Kangkang with China can also be applied with Aspas. He led his underrated region's super team to a Champions Trophy, and now every Brazilian international victory calls upon the legacy
I don't know. I feel like Sassy does not get enough credit.
of Aspas. There was a point at the end of 2023 that it looked like Aspas was going to easily go on to become the greatest player in the history of the game, as long as he kept winning trophies. However, that hasn't quite happened, and with his last international grand final still being at lock-in, for Aspas to reclaim that throne, he's going to have to win another international trophy, and dominate the tournament while doing it. It's hard to imagine him doing that on MIBR, so maybe a return to Loud could be in order. I know I would love
Damn.
to see it. But now for, in my opinion, the
Foreshadowing?
greatest Valorant player of all time.
Ugh, I don't even want to watch this. You guys don't have to say that about me. Well, greatest Valorant player, really? That's what you guys think? Thank you.
There's also many things to be excited for this year, and it has to be the new additions, right?
It has to be. And I mean,
That's
maybe
just,
talk about,
that's
you know,
not even
Navi
like
not
something I
making
want to
it
watch.
global in a long
I don't want to
time,
get
but
like, you
look
know,
at the additions that Navi has
my head
made
would be
this
too
year,
big.
right? They look
I don't like
great
that.
with the youngsters being in top form. You look at Rooksik, you look at Hero, you look at even the recent addition of Alexic as well. They're all in the top 15.
kidding. We'll watch it.
The player whose achievements are so undeniable that it cannot be argued any other way. Timofey Chronicle Kromov. The argument for Chronicle being at the top of this list is not a difficult one to make. First of all, he's the winningest player in Valorant history, the only one with 3 international trophies and 5 international grand final appearances. He's made it to the grand final of over half of the international tournaments he's attended, which is just a ridiculous statistic, and he somehow seems to get better and better the deeper these tournament runs go. On Gambit, Chronicle was the fragging demon alongside Nats' signature lurks, and actually surpassed Nats during Champs 2021 as they narrowly missed out on back-to-back alongside Nats'
Is that me?
signature lurks.
That's Victor. Okay. Where am I? Am I already dead?
And actually surpassed Nats during Champs
How'd I get
2021
entry
as
on
they
Cypher?
narrowly missed out on back-to-back international trophies. And despite Gambit's difficult situation in 2022, the Valorant world could still see exactly how good he was. He signed for Fnatic, a move
I was trying to take over. They put
which
me down
almost cemented
instantly.
his legacy there and then, finally fulfilling his fate of winning back-to-back trophies with the legendary Fnatic team of
That's
2023,
annoying.
and since making another grand final appearance in Toronto. Adding together these achievements and consistency, his incredible mechanics, world-class utility and game sense, and flexibility across 19 different agents and 2 major roles, the case for Chronicle as the greatest Valorant player of all time is a simple one. He doesn't miss on the cultural impact either, producing one of the earliest iconic Valorant clips in the history of the game with his Ace Against Crew. For all of these reasons and more, he deserves to be called the greatest Valorant player of all time. So there we have it. After 5 years of pro Valorant, the 15 greatest players of all time. This list will
How do we feel about this list, chat? I think Saucy needs to be here, and Kangkang needs to be there. I think this is all fine. Pretty fair overall, I would say, for sure. This is only really here because Leo is only here because he didn't play. I think the only problem I have is the Saucy Kangkang, honestly. Everything else seems pretty solid. Zekin needs another tournament victory. Forsaken is above Saucy? Well, he won a trophy as the IGL of the team while being one of the best players on his team, which really nobody has done in this entire list. And he's also been consistently good since the beginning of Valorant. And they've had a shit ton of second places. Meanwhile, like, he's never played bad, really. And he's played the most agents out of anybody at a high level. So, I mean, I'd definitely put Forsaken. I think even Saucy would put Forsaken ahead of himself. But Kang and Saucy, that's my issue. Because 2 trophies, 1 trophy. Did it with, like, the game came out later in China. I'll give Kang that. That's pretty insane. And he carried that champs run. I'll give him that. But Saucy did it on 2 different teams. And created Loud. So I think we swapped these 2. I think Saucy 10, Kang 11. Makes more sense. Fuck you mean who's 12? 12 stays the fucking same, dog. What do you mean? Are you guys asking who's 12? Oh, you can't see it. It's yay. Oh shit, sorry. Why am I yelling at you guys? My fault. That's my bad. It's yay. $12 is yay. Chat, if there was 16 spots, do I get it? What the fuck? Where's the... Go like it. If you guys dislike, you guys are fucking scumbags. I think I'm down for number 16. It's no problem.
And